So Supreme Court, we talked a little bit about last week, but Stitt, immediately is celebrating the Castro Huerta Supreme Court case, which just really complicates things. I heard a good spiel on it on NPR with Neva Hill and Ryan Kiesel today on the way in. I don't know that I could paraphrase it right now. But yeah, basically it overturns a lot of past Indian law and doesn't really affect McGirt as much. But anyway, it's definitely worth talking about more. I just think we're going to run out of time here. And then Oklahoma is set to resume executions in August. So there are a lot of anti-death penalty folks. They're starting to organize to try and stop that. It seemed like it was just a political stunt for John O'Connor, but now he is gone or going to be gone. So maybe there's some space to undo this, but we'll just have to see. But anyway, really gross, especially for the most pro-life governor in the country to just race to kill a bunch of people. So that's currently a Stitt deal. And then, yeah, so what I want to talk about, though, before Taz has to jump off or we run out of time is, so yesterday evening or afternoon, this was 3 o'clock yesterday, all at once, of a sudden, Stitt releases a video which now already has fucking 800,000 views. Today, I'm calling for a special audit of Tulsa public schools and the potential mishandling of public funds. I'm also concerned TPS may have violated state law by teaching critical race theory. We will get to the bottom of what's going on at Tulsa public schools. So, this is going back to a big fight that Stitt has had with the superintendent there, going back to the COVID days. Tulsa stayed closed a bit longer than other places because their constituents, I think, largely wanted that. And they just took COVID more seriously than the rest of the state. And so Stitt kind of beat up on them about that. I mean, Debregas and Stitt kind of went back and forth. Well, anyway, the Tulsa World, shortly before this video, and of course Ryan Walters did a car video, dropped, the Tulsa World released an article saying effectively that the Tulsa School Board or the Tulsa District found that there might have been some CARES funds that were misused. And so they have turned it over to the district attorney. They've investigated it. It sounded like about $20,000 that maybe an employee got as a kickback for helping a vendor get a contract. Not great stuff, but in the scheme of things, kind of small potatoes. Also, TPS was investigating it. I think the employee was getting ready to resign. So anyway, right at the same time this Tulsa World story drops, Stitt and Walters put out videos saying, we're going to call for an audit. And then they're conflating things with CRT because asking the auditor to investigate is, a financial thing. It's a forensic audit. They just go in and make sure you're doing the numbers right. It has nothing to do with CRT. So all this weird stuff happens kind of boom, boom, boom. And then today, Walters did a press conference with one of the Tulsa School Board members who's super far right. So anyway, where I'm going with all this is nothing about this seems like it's being done in good faith. It seems heavily coordinated with friends in the media to go after this. Because here's the contract irregularities. And anyway, all this to say, it doesn't seem like Stitt was ahead of this. Doesn't seem like Stitt was leading on this. It sounds like Tulsa was doing their own research, and now he's going to kind of take credit for it and attack Tulsa public schools over it. I don't know. And the media has covered this. I mean, here are, I pulled up as many articles as I could find. Here's KOSU. Here's 2 News. Same article, News on 6, Black Wall Street Times, who initially I think had a headline that was similar to the rest, but then changed it, Tulsa World. So anyway, all these folks covered this, and there is no evidence to me that this is anything but just a bad faith political attack. Yeah, so I'll stop there because I feel like I've rambled a bit, but thoughts?
I just want to know what school is teaching CRT, so when I have kids, I can send them there. That's my main thing.
Yeah.
I think. But just thinking about that aspect of it, I can't really. the whole CRT thing is fucking stupid. First of all, it's July. School's not even in session.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
is this being brought up right now? Second of all, like, I mean, if the only school that I could realistically see something like that being taught at is Union Public Schools. Union is one of the biggest schools in the Tulsa area,
Well, they're
and they
even a
have
different
a
school district
high
than TBS.
yeah,
Like,
and they have a high number of students of color, and so my brain is just like something has definitely been misconstrued because nowhere in Oklahoma, no matter how woke that school is teaching anything about racial theory or even the Tulsa race massacre. Like that's still I don't think that that's being taught in schools either. So they're worried about something that doesn't exist and they're wasting time and trying to get everybody mad about something that probably didn't happen, or if it did, I doubt your kids have been indoctrinated or compromised in any
well, I
way.
think I read something that it was like maybe relating to like a staff training. So it was adults, you know, like I mean it's so far I mean yeah, it's just lies, misdirection on top of lies. Like yeah, I mean it's July, obviously there's no students, so it's like if they were teaching CRT like that it wasn't to kids. Anyway.
It's just like, why are you creating problems?
Oh,
Like seriously,
we know why.
like creating. You know what? I'm pro CRT. Sorry, I said it. There you go. All
Yeah,
right, I'm
I
pro.
mean
I'm
same.
pro CRT in schools. What are you gonna do now? Bye.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I really wish we would just get to is like, yes, you should learn about white supremacy. You should learn about racism. Yes, you should have to learn about this stuff. Like,
That's
it's
not
pretty
CRT
important.
though. That's not CRT
Well, I
though.
know, but I mean, that's like their universal kind of catch-all definition of it.
Right. But like actual critical race theory is like is like examining race through like a very objective lens, and it's all that, which we should still do in a country where we talk about like multi ethnicities, multiracial democracies. Like, yeah, I mean, if our kids are learning collegiate level stuff, great.
I think I'm just confused. Did the left ever like really use the letter CRT, like critical race theory, before the right decided that they were just gonna like ban it?
So
Or
critical race theory is like a legal framework, like to look that some black intellectuals developed back I don't know in like the 70s or something. I mean, so it's a legal framework saying that like America institutionalized racism and discrepancies in racial outcomes via the law, which is objectively true. Like, like maybe some of the authors took in further thinking on it, took a especially critical view or negative view maybe of white power and white folks. But I mean, it's really just a legal analysis of like laws that are, in my opinion, like objectively true. I mean, like there was an article in Non-Doc that I was reading this morning that was like, Edmond still has racially exclusionary covenants in their zone in their neighborhood associations. I mean they're unenforceable now, but like that language is still in covenants that black people could not move into a neighborhood. Like it was illegal until the late 1940s for a black person to buy a house in most neighborhoods in Edmond. So I don't know what you call that except racially discriminatory. So
I mean, yeah, and like one of my favorite things to like bring up anytime someone talks about Edmond is just this like it's from like the 60s or something, but it's like a flyer, and at the top it says Edmond, a good place to live, and then immediately underneath that it says no Negro citizens.
yeah.
It's just like no, that's bad. But CRT, I don't. CRT just for some reason I hear that and I think about Starbucks, like the training that they made all their employees go through when it turned out like a good chunk of them were like racist towards black people that came in to
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
buy coffee. So, and even that has been, I think, like demolished, destroyed. I don't think they do that anymore. I feel like it was just like the height of the George Floyd, protests, and I don't like using the word uprising for that. That's not the 2020 protests is how I refer to that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's something that they still do. It's just I don't know. Whenever we do stuff like that, it's never done in a way that would be completely like 100% beneficial, but I don't know. It's I don't know.
I mean, and where I got like really angry earlier is like, so looking at all these articles, like they're all literally just reprinting Stitt's press release. Like he is grasping at the like thinnest of straws to try to go after Tulsa public schools. I mean, when you think about $20,000, I mean, we're talking $20,000. TPS got $200 million in, COVID money. So, I mean, $20,000 is like 1/100th of 1% of that money. So, I mean, we are talking about a teeny tiny fraction of money that might have gotten misspent.
See, this just makes me think about our board of county commissioners who gave the jail $25 million 2 years ago, and we had to be like, that's fucked up because we only got like 35 or 40 million,
Yeah.
and they gave like half or more
Right.
to the jail, and then they came back and they're like, oh, we're taking some back. We're making the numbers smaller. Like that was a real thing to be pissed and upset
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
But $20,000 out of like
$200 million. Yeah. So, I mean, and the deal is they caught the guy. Like, they were going after him. Like, TPS had already turned it over to the district attorney. So it's like they already identified, hey, we found some discrepancies. Hey, we found who we think did it. And I think the employee was fixing to resign. So and basically this is in none of these articles. I mean, like it's vaguely mentioned. But I mean, like NonDoc had one where they put Stitt's press release at the very top of the article, and it's like, man, y'all know how people read this stuff. They read the headline, they read a couple paragraphs, and then they dip out usually. They're just like, oh, this is what must be going on in the world. And so now you've put Tulsa Public Schools like under the, laser light of stuff. And the other thing too is Tulsa board members, districts 3 and 4 disclosed to me, and this is to Stitt, most board members were left, quote, in the dark while TPS superintendent conducted an internal investigation into what one Tulsa World article described as almost $20,000 in irregularities. This was a setup. Like districts 3 and 4, one of them was this Alana Ashley, who is a super far right provocateur who got dark, independent expenditure money poured into that race to get elected. I mean, these people are bad faith all the way down. They all just have an axe to grind with Tulsa Public Schools. And the issue at the core of it doesn't sound all that bad. Like, it sounds like something happened. People do shitty things all the time. Tulsa Public Schools is investigating it, and they're going to probably get it resolved. So meanwhile, like Walters had a couple articles written by the Frontier about how he, took $18 million and got a contract for the company he used to work for or whatever. So, I mean, way bigger deals to go after people for. And yet, NPR covers it, News on 6, Channel 2, like everyone goes and just breathlessly covers this. And then today, Walters and Alana Ashley held a press conference at the Tulsa Press Club, and everybody was there covering that. And it's just like, these guys are not being, like, you can Google for 2 seconds and realize they're trying to make hay out of something that probably isn't that big a deal, and they're very much misrepresenting their position. And then you all show up again to cover them? Like, why? Meanwhile, a week and a half ago, we put on a town hall about the jail bond, and not a single reporter can come cover it. And I explicitly got told, well, we think it's a little too partisan because there were people who were running for office there, and you only had one side of the issue. It's like, motherfucker, what side of the issue is Ryan Walters on? What side of the issue is Alana Ashley on? Do tell. Oh, wait, you don't have the same standard for them?
I mean, everything about this is just a base play. Like, it's just a base play. Like, even though we know that Tulsa Public Schools is undergoing the audit, they're trying to conflate this with CRT. They're trying to make this an even bigger problem than it is. Like, it's election season, y'all. They want to be able to do and say what they need to say in order to get their base riled up and show them out. That's really about it.
Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.